Hello everybody and welcome to the second episode of the Pentagon Challenge. I'd just like to say thank you so much for the great response to the beginning of the series. It was a rather messy episode, but the fact that you guys are fully subscribed to this series means a whole lot to me. I'm going to make my very best shot of it throughout this year. And just before we can begin the National First Division season here in South Africa, I'd just like to introduce you to my Vasco da Gama Cape Town team. And of course, before I do that, I'll have to show you me. Obviously, you would have seen these in the last episode, but a lot of my stats are way down compared to what you'd be used to. But the good news is I'm studying for my first qualification, which is the National C License, which will hopefully make me a better coach and a better manager as well. So you can see by this screen my skills at teaching the players is very poor, so I need to up that straight away, and there's no detriment to my skills if everyone else can do the jobs for me. And that's pretty much all I need to say. So let's begin with a look at the financial situation. And I've been spending a little bit of money, that's for sure, but we still have a profit of 404,012 euros. Income pretty low since we don't have very many season tickets to sell and all that, but it's pretty positive. As things go on, I'm sure it'll get better. But in terms of introducing you to the club, Vasco da Gama's Cape Town, obviously linked to the Brazilian club. They were founded in 1980. They're predicted to finish 5th. Now that's important. I promised a top half finish, and that's something I'm going to have to achieve, but that's the sort of prediction I could hopefully beat in 2 seasons. I'll give myself that time bracket. I really believe I can do very well here. And then these beautiful kits, the home and away, are spectacularly good, I must say. And ticket price is €6, very good value. So now let's begin with an introduction to my squad. I have a fair amount of players brought in through transfers, but a lot I've inherited and brought up from the reserve team to fill up some gaps. Unfortunately, the bad news is Mbuelo Wambi has suffered a really bad injury, a sprained ankle. We'll see him removed for 7 to 8 weeks, and that's the sort of position I really can't afford to lose since we're weak in centre midfield. I don't really have the pulling power to bring anyone better in. But let's begin with introducing the goalkeeper. So number one choice appears to be, second choice keeper is Mbuelo Ngope. He could be a good player in future, but at the minute he should be the backup. It's a youngster Steve Hoffman who seems to be the best choice, and he's had an okay pre-season. We'll hope for better in the real campaign. One of the better players in defence is on loan. His name is Roscoe Peterson, and he's a good age, and he's the correct nationality as well. A few decent stats for a central defender. Defends, you can see there. Can I click that? There you go. So the heading, marking, tackling, all very consistent. Jumping reach is okay. So he's a pretty calm and collected defender. One player I really want to have throughout this season. On loan from our parent club, Vitoria Guimarães, is Bakar Balde. He can play anywhere on the left hand side, and I'd like to see him on the wings. I think that suits him better, and he's another one of those players who doesn't have any particularly poor stats, save for the jumping reach, but he does have a lot of potential as a winger support, but nothing spectacular about him. But he has played really well compared to some of the other players. One of the most valuable players in the starting lineup as well will be the striker from Botswana, Omatia Kabato. Good finisher, not so great composure, but he has reasonable technique off the ball, teamwork and all that, so he could be a great player once he reaches his full potential. And then a few guys you might notice are in the bench. We have this attacking midfielder guy who can play in the centre as well. Shokumbuzo Mazibuko. He's already got great ability, but as we're weak on the right hand side, he needs to probably be as versatile as possible. And then another good player to introduce you to would be, who is it? Captain, I think. Where is he? Is it this guy? Yes. So our captain of the club is the right back and centre back, Nathan Gertze. He could be a good player. He's only 23, just a little older than me actually, so quite interesting that the two dominant people are 23, 24 years old. You can see my profile as an example. I am 23 as well, so that's very interesting. Good player, mostly mentally strong actually, that's good to see, but not so good in physical or indeed technical, but we'll live with that. He's okay. And now we'll introduce you to the players I've signed and also the staff. I had to make those big changes as you saw in the first episode. So let's begin with a right midfielder. I have absolutely no right midfielders in the team. I have winger right, but not midfielder right. So my solution was a free transfer, Matlatse Make. He's kind of reaching the zenith of his career, but he has scored 1 goal in pre-season, and he could still provide some good cover for us as the year goes on. He's best as a winger support, so we'll take that into consideration. On loan from the Orlando Pirates is Nicolas Nguazi. He's not a stellar player, but he's only 24, and I need those centre midfielders to fill out those gaps, and he can play naturally on the right hand side as well. And then my third and final signing for the time being, record by apparently Mnodzi Mthombeni. Similarly, he's also versatile on all areas on the left wing and left back places, and he was very, very good for a non-league club, Wuka United. He scored 7 times for them. I doubt I'll get that kind of return, but I'll be really, really excited to see how my 35,000 euros will be spent. And in terms of letting players go, I've had no mercy on Zeka Karki. He's 33 years old and he's not really good. He was in the reserve, so he's on big money, so I just thought get rid of him. And FC Cape Town took up the offer, and interestingly he's out with a strained neck, so I wish him better in future. And then interestingly, another good left hand sided player, Jonathan Armogam, has been taken to Chile to play for Audax Italiano, and he's not doing so well early on, but he was injured in pre-season and he didn't do much work for me. If I want to recall him, I have until the 31st of August to do so. As you can see, the registration rules, you're allowed a maximum of 5 foreigners, and then players under the age of 20 do not have to be registered. But apart from that, your maximum squad size is 99, and then the minimum is 15, of course. Anything smaller than that would be ludicrous. Looking at the squad report now, we can take a look by position. You can see the goalkeeper is generally quite good. Jerry White's not a fantastic player, I'll admit, but he might get 1 or 2 games over the season. Right back is actually one of the best places I have, with 5 players who can comfortably play there. That's in stark contrast to left back, where I only have Sibosiso Noxiana. He's the only decent pure left back I have, but with my 2 signings, Mthombeni and then Bakar Balde, well, he's not really my signing, he could be good. And then Sturman can also play naturally in left back. Centre back, we actually have more right backs than centre backs. That's really funny, with 4 or 3 of my centre backs able to play on that side, so that could be handy. But worryingly, only 2 are on a permanent contract. Midfield central is, as I said, one of my weakest places. So who is it gone? Is it this guy? No, it's not. He's one of the older fellas, and he's only good in defensive mid, so we'll ignore him. It was actually my best midfielder gone, so I really have to fill in this position as soon as possible. But that's all I can really do. On the left hand side, I've already discussed. I only have those 2 players, and then one guy can play a little bit on that side. And on the right, it's even more bleak, because I have only 2 natural right wing players, and I brought them both in. And in terms of pure right attacking mid, I have 2 players who can play there with any sort of respectability. I have a lot of pure attacking midfielder centrals, but I'd like to get rid of 1 or 2 of them. They're not really that good. I think it's this guy. Yeah, he's listed, but I can't get rid of him as of yet, so I'd love to bring in a centre midfielder for him. And then up front we have 4 options, and the best one is number 10 here, Alcardo Van Gran. He's not really a flair player, even though his flair is 13. According to this, I should be playing him in defensive forward, and then poacher is his third best. And then in backup we have Lehonio Marumo, great name it must be said, Lehio Honio, that might be it. And then Omatia Kabato, I think we've introduced you to him already. And then the guy I brought up from the reserves is Chris Ntambi. Not great, but he could still do a role for us. As you can see, scored 2 goals in pre-season. Now you'll actually want to see what's happened in pre-season before we go, and this is exactly what's happened. And the infamous reserve friendly actually went totally against me. We were really bad, and our reserves were able to win. Abu Bukar is now promoted to the first team, and with good reason. He's been a very good player. Wits away at home, a really poor performance from pillar to post, and then we were beaten yet again, this time to a much lesser opponent because Wits are in the Premier League. Glendine United gave us a 1-0 defeat there, and then FCAK, as they're known, a really slow down team as well. They absolutely wrecked us. Fair play to them. But I finally figured out some sort of tactic here. It was against Yebo Yes United, and we were 1-0 to the good here. We scored in the 2nd minute, but we didn't do anything else apart from that, which is worrying. Against Hanover Park we drew 0-0, poor result. But this is the friendly I wanted to play with just a week to go before the season began, and it was a great result against Manchester United of South Africa. It was 5-0 with goals from Kapato, Peterson, Ntambi and Van Gran on a brace off the bench. That was great. So mixed bag really, and we play our first game against the first letter of the alphabet in this league. It's African Warriors. That'll be away from home, and they've been in good shape in pre-season. They've even gotten to draw out the Sundowns. I know them as a Premier League side, so I'm quite nervous about our fortune in this National First Division, but I hope we can get something out of this game. And what was I trying to think? Yeah, there was something I was meant to do. Yeah, of course. The tactics I'm going to be playing are my natural 4-2-3-1 wide. That's my first choice. In terms of the player roles, I'll edit these another time, but it depends what sort of tactic I play, whether it be a poacher, defensive forward, etc, etc. Then if I have 4 fit midfielders, I could play this tactic, get rid of the wings and go for 2 up top. And then of course the formation I played to good effect against Manchester United was the 4-4-2, and pretty much bog standard. But we're going to have to think about getting another midfielder in to replace one of those useless attacking midfielders. But it's pretty much par for the course really. You can't really read too much into the pre-season, but I'm glad we've had this opportunity. I would have been really suffering if I didn't have a pre-season. But until next time, that's all for you today. We'll look into those worldwide things in a later date. But if there are any leagues you'd like to see in this screen sometime later, just let me know, and I'll probably mess around with it as best I can. But until next time, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.